somebody who is a strong theological realist or religious realist would answer this question by saying that religious language purports to refer to an objective reality, quite in the same way as scientific language. And that's something different from the language of art, for instance, or language of poetry or literature that doesn't, at least in normal cases, doesn't have this referential function, but rather depicts some fictional world, for instance. And then again, if you have a strongly anti-realist or constructivist picture of religion and religious language, then I guess your account would be closer to what we may take literary language to be like. Then religious language use would be turned into some kind of literature or poetry instead of world describing referential language. And again, if we are now interested in this pragmatist middle path between realism and anti-realism, I guess our picture of religious language will then have to be something that lies somewhere in between these two alternatives. It's not just like scientific language in the sense that it doesn't seek to identify objects in the world and describe their properties in the way in which scientific theories are intended to describe and explain the world. But then on the other hand, it's also not quite the same thing as simply using language in the way in which it is used in art or literature, where the task is not really to describe the world, but maybe some fictional circumstances. On the other hand, then of course we do have to keep in mind that even fictional literature in an indirect way may of course describe in extremely important ways the real world, so to say. So even if we do have this kind of a conception of religious language as somehow closer to poetic or literary language than to scientific language, even then we of course may be able to admit that it does deal with the world, the real world, in a similar indirect instead of direct manner.